what is Saturday night entertainment? Well, the newly renamed Formula Premier has delivered why in its past 1.5 seasons. Welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix for what should be another enthralling event, courtesy of what I'm going to refer to as FP. We know it is called Formula Premier, and welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, a track that has created and birthed some mesmeric Formula One moments since its introduction to the circus in 1991. We consider it part of our journey and our recognition of what Formula One is. So then, FP is now in its fourth round of Season 2, and here in Tier 1, the creme de la creme, but to claim supremacy once more. We have 13 drivers battling it out the pole position in this session before the 33-lap Grand Prix. I am Ben McCarthy, your commentator, and welcome along to this Spanish Grand Prix Saturday. And enough for the introduction, we have action out on track as Applejuice in the Prancing Horse is taking us on a tour of the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, a track that has been namely unchanged since 1991, but it is still a tough and challenging circuit, formerly taxing in overtaking, but these new Formula One regulations, the 2022 beasts, certainly do aid the propensity for wheel-to-wheel action. So then Applejuice is blasting towards Campsa, or what we know as Turn 9, managing to keep it within track limits, and we head towards Turn 10, which is revised for the 2021 Spanish Grand Prix, because this is the first game in which this configuration of circuits has come about, and it will certainly test the driver's ability, as down the straights they're still going to be tasked with carrying much speed through the apex of Turn 10, managing to keep it on line as well as they enter the final sector. But Applejuice then completing his first lap in qualifying, and what comes about is a lap time of 1:18.655. Vadas then in the Williams seems to be slowing down on this lap as Weetabest displaces Applejuice immediately, and then Shadows goes to the top of the timesheets. But Gupta then, your Season 1 champion, hitting the track. In the middle sector then, Gupta quickest of anyone. He looks to assert his authority early on in this session, and Gupta, who leads the standings by a mere 3 points. He will look to build upon the momentum he has created as he rounds the final corner and reaches the finish line. His first lap is good enough for the front row. He is 7/100ths behind Shadows' provisional pole time, and the Alpine has said its opening words and looks to claim authority. All Excel provisionally goes P4, but Hydrant's quickest now by 1/10 of a second on a 1:17.7, and the Red Bull has the opening exchanges in his hands, but revokes in the Alfa Romeo, displaces the Red Bull. We're now into the 1:17.5, and by 1/10 and a bit, Revokes is now our provisional pole setter. So Horridby in the Ferrari, in Applejuice already on a lap. His teammate Horridby in the other Prancing Horse will now proudly take us on a tour of the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Into turn 7 and 8, riding the curves very nicely and raging on towards Campsa, turn 9, where Heikki Kovalainen had a frightening accident in 2008, and Horridby running wide through the exit of Campsa, and that is going to cost him precious lap time. But the lap goes on, and the final sector is coming about. Horridby then through the exit of turn 12 and into turn 13 through the tight and twisty final sector. It's a left and right and one final right on this lap for Horrid. Peter completely goes for a spin through the final corner. Clobbers the wall a little bit, but throws the lap away with just moments to spare. So now it's the turn of Briefing Cow in the Mercedes, who has made his mark so far since he joined this racing division. Although he is only 9th in the championship, we know the demonstrable speed that he possesses. So then through Kampsa, keeping it on track. You can see the rear end stepping out a little bit. Briefing Cow may be a bit exasperated with what the rear end is doing to him. Then Briefing Cow through the final corner with DRS wide open and with a finish line to chase. He's up onto the front row, just south of 8/100ths behind Revokes, and with the quickest final sector as well. So then, it's Revokes from Briefing Cow, Hydrant P3, Shadows P4, Gupta your championship leader, only P5. But we have Vaders and the J-Lol both on outlaps, and in fact Hades is now on a push lap. So let's follow his progress down the start to finish straight, where we saw Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna battle it out in 1991 in one of the most iconic images in Formula One's rich history, through turns 2 and turn 3, where Fernando Alonso had a mighty start in 2013. That is a hellish moment for the J-Lol, with the rear of the car overtaking the front. The lap is thrown away in a heartbeat. So the J-Lol on the back foot with just 10 minutes to go in this qualifying session. So now it is the turn of Vaders, and history repeats itself. Vaders becomes the second driver in just a few seconds to spin through turn 3. And that corner is proving a tough, testing, taxing challenge. Wow. We have Simplement through turn 3. We have seen drivers falling foul of what the Circuit de Barcelona Catalonia throws at you. But we will also see drivers rising to the top, and Gupta will seek to do so in his green machine, the Aston Martin. Down the start-finish straight, sets about starting a lap. It seems like we have a driver encountering a problem through the exit of Kampsa. That may be Vaders. But let's focus then on Gupta into turn 3 now, where we've seen 2 drivers already spinning qualifying. Gupta avoids it being a third. But into turn 4, where Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg crashed in 2016, Gupta is only finding a half a tenth improvement through the first sector. The championship leader on the back foot, and he wants to set about overcoming his struggles as Hydrant through the exit of turn 2, facing the wrong way and having to eliminate this latest attempt. But Gupta through Kampsa, keeping it on road. It's the charge towards turn 10 then, and through the middle sector, it's not an improvement. As the track gets more and more grippy, the pace is eluding the championship leader. Whether he is focusing on a more of a race setup, we will have to see, but the Aston Martin is on the back foot. The championship leader, looking to extend his advantage, is not prevailing in his attempts. He reaches the line, he does improve to P4 and by 1.5 tenths, but the second row only for Gupta. That comes as a shock. Revokes though out in front, extends his stronghold on pole position. It's now with 1:17.361, and he's 3 tenths clear now of Briefing Cow. Shadows in the Alpine improving through the first third of the lap into turn 7 and 8. Been smooth so far from Shadows, but into Kampsa, where it is notoriously tricky. We've seen Lance Stroll, we've seen Brendan Hartley Both crash out there in recent years, and Shadows improving, finding 1.5 tenths through the middle sector. Is this lap going to come to something captivating for the Alpine? Just a few more corners to tackle for Shadows. One final corner, one final right hand that didn't seem especially clean through that section of track, but he will reach the line. But it's not an improvement in terms of position. He lost out horridly through the final sector, and he remains P5. Ethan Cal blasts through turn 4 and on towards turn 5. That is a mighty, mesmeric first sector for Breathing Cow. He thirsts an improvement. The Mercedes man is looking to, at long last, kickstart his championship campaign. We saw the potential he possesses in pre-season testing. He wants to keep that speed. He wants to demonstrate it on this Catalonia stage, and through the middle sector, he's up by 3 tenths. The silver arrow. It's glaringly glorious through this lap. It winds, it blasts through each and every corner, setting about speed that has been unparalleled so far in this qualifying session, and he reaches the heights of which no one has accomplished so far. A 1:17.258. Breathing Cow is quickest of the lot. The turn of a Curdray then in the McLaren. Let's ride on board with him and see what he can do on this push lap. Into turn 1 then, dropping down to 4th gear, but he's going to climb up the gears once more as he reaches turn 3 up into 6th gear, taking a bounce, at least on exit, at 150 miles per hour. It is flat out if you get the line right. It must be said, on lower fuel, it is to be relatively expected. But on towards turn 5 now, opening up the corner, turning in sharply, putting down the power and racing away on towards turn 7 and 8. You can see the curve at turn 8. It is surprisingly lethal. Curdray manages to avoid it. A bit of understeer from Curdray though into Kampsa corner, and he loses the lap by running a little bit of wide, encountering a bit of understeer, and that is his attempt over. All XL, whether it means George Orwell, I don't know. Whether it's Orwell referencing George Orwell, I don't know. But All XL, I hope I haven't butchered that name too much, is now on a lap in the Alfa Romeo, where they finished 6th, courtesy of Valtteri Bottas, earlier this year around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. This is a track in which the team have excelled at, but All XL taking a whole load of grass there and finding out that this lap is not seeking an improvement at the moment. Running fractionally close to the track limits there. He's thrown absolutely everything at this attempt and will arrive at Kampsa corner with a front end to be turned in, a rear end complying, but not enough to sustain this lap. So, Gupta, can he steal the show once more? A trait that has become synonymous with his ability in all of his time in what was PFL and now Formula Premiere. The Green Machine, the championship leader, has waited for his moment in this qualifying session. He has 3 minutes to find his moment, and through the first sector, he has found a tenth and a bit. The moment consists of glory, glitzy, glistening moments and ability. Gupta thirsts to deliver that. He will arrive at Kampsa corner with the front end to be turned in, keeps it within track limits, opens DRS and a second sector to chase, and he's improving by nearly half a second. The Aston Martin is showing his hand when it most matters. He has been on the back foot He's been waiting to open the gates to supremacy. He has watched the opposition contemplate their speed, but Gupta is finally delivering his as he rounds the final corner, opens DRS one more time, and he climbs to the very top. By over a tenth and a half, a 117 flat has been delivered by Gupta, and for the moment, he is quickest of the bunch. My word, did his ability thirst that moment? And with just moments to spare, could it just be him once more? But Fadder's now retiring from qualifying. Gupta, I presume, has run his course, unless he took on more fuel, but the tyres would have taken a punishment on that lap. So it's one last dash for one ambition, pole position in this qualifying session. Hydrant is going to tackle this circuit. He's 6 tenths behind Gupta at the moment. He has a deficit to close, but he's going to do his utmost to do just that. Rounding turn 3 off of the exit of turn 3, where Pastor Maldonado crashed in qualifying in 2014. Hydrant is shy of his provisional time through the first sector by 5/1000ths of a second. Arriving at turn 5, putting down the power on exit, knowing that this is his final attempt. Gupta leads the pack for the moment. Hydrant dancing, flirting with the rear of the car. He is exploring the limits of his ability around this track. At the end of the second sector, he's finding a little bit of time, but not enough. He sits on the second row, over half a second behind Gupta. And as he clears the Ferrari of Horridby, who is on an outlap, Hydrant will arrive at the final few corners with a lap to complete and with an ambition to find. And with the finish line in sight, Hydrant goes from 4th and remains 4th. So he will not start on the front row, will the Red Bull. So it's Griefincau's turn. It's Revokes' turn to steal the limelight so late on. Riedebest, the J-Lol, both retiring from qualifying. They have done their utmost in this set. Nothing more to deliver. Revokes, though, through the final sector, a quarter of a second behind Gupta's time. 2 more corners to tackle now for Revokes, and he's backed off the Alfa Romeo. Will it be at best starting from P3 as Griefincau delivers a blisteringly quick middle sector, turning into turn 12 and now into turn 13. Gupta snatched pole position from Griefincau's grasp, but as he rounds the final corner and as the checkered flag is in sight, he reaches the line and gloriously steals pole position back. Griefincau has broken into the 116s and for the moment will start on pole here at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. His competitors chanced glory in this qualifying session, but at the final last gasp moment, the Silver Arrow has found the golden touch. A moment of mastery from the Merc. Griefincau will start on pole. So then a fiercely competitive qualifying session. It is Griefincau on pole. So then there you can see the qualifying order. Briefing Cow will start on pole ahead of Gupta. Revokes third, Shadows fourth, then Hydrant, We the Best, or Excel, Apple Juice, Horrisby, and the J-Lol rounding out the top 10. We have a fascinating race in store. We will have to see who comes out on top. So the clock ticks down. The Grand Prix start nears, and the competitors have 33 laps to duel and contest. So we expect normally this race to be a two-stop, but you can see the drivers have gone for varying strategies. Briefing Cow on the mediums, Gupta on the hards, Revokes, Shadows and Hydrant all on the softs. Then We the Best down to Fear on the mediums, Akurdri on the softs, Vadders on the mediums as well. We have a fascinating race of strategy to unfold. We have a fabulous contest of wheel-to-wheel action to transfer, but 33 laps of daring commitment from our FP drivers is ready to take centre stage. Briefing Cow starting from pole. So then, for drivers nearing the end of this formation lap tour, ready to start the Spanish Grand Prix here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. You can see Gupta and Briefing Cow a long way clear of Revokes, who's really slowed down the pack, as he's going to leave the Merc and the Aston Martin on the grid for an extortionate amount of time. Revokes, Shadows, Hydrant and We the Best join the front two on the grid. We the Best disqualified from the formation lap, obviously. He's not been able to park the car in the way that the stewards would have wanted. But we have Vatters at the rear of the field forming on the grid. So then, for a track that has become a fixture in modern Formula One, turns to FP to deliver some daring drama for the Spanish Grand Prix. We are underway. It's a great start from Briefing Cow on the medium compound tyres. Gupta is losing out as Hydrant leaps up into second instantaneously. He's now in the slipstream of Briefing Cow, who leads the drivers into turn one. Gupta is going to fight back against Hydrant. On board with Revokes, is Hydrant able to see second place once and for all? He is. Gupta is on the back foot as Revokes stares and hunts him down for third place. The drivers making it cleanly though through the first few corners. You can see We the Best around the outside of all. Excel, they're going to run side by side into turn 5. I think the Alfa Romeo instantly edging ahead. Baton exits. The Alpine looks to fight back, but no, All Excel now setting his sights upon Shadows. Revoked still pressurising Gupta. It seems like those hard compound tyres are not giving him the initial grip. The championship leader on the back foot. They're going to race towards turn 10 and Revoked seizes third place. Strategy from the very start, action racing from the very start. Here at the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, our drivers are giving it absolutely everything and are fearless in what they wish to achieve. But Gupta struggling through the final corner. He started this race from second. Within a lap, he's down to P5. Shadows has the exit of the final corner and grabs fourth, with little to no fight from Gupta. Griefincal, though, leads out in front from Hydrants. You can see then with the leaderboards, Hydrants gaining 3 places at the start. Gupta losing 3 and Vadas at the rear of the field, spinning through turn 3. He span in qualifying through that corner. He spins once more in the race. And that compounds what has been an irritating Spanish Grand Prix so far for the Williams. But with Gupta, he's got to play the patient game. He's got to realise that eventually the hard compound tyres will come into its own. He can run longer in this race. But these are testing moments for our championship leader, who is on the back foot, who has seen his rival pass him with absolute ease. This Spanish Grand Prix is not turning in the favour of our championship leader as Vadas goes for a second spin in 1 lap. Hydrants setting the fastest lap of the race in second place, and you can see Wiedebeer spinning through the final corner and losing part of his front wing. He came perilously close to race-ending damage, and Wiedebeer, who sensed the chance, has lost that chance for a spin through the 16th and final corner of this Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya track. And chance has met with catastrophe for Wiedebeer, who once more goes for a spin as Vadas retires from the race. We have yellow flags out in the first and third sector at the moment, but Griefincal still leading. DRS, of course, in action on this lap, which will give the drivers more of an opportunity to overtake. It's a fascinating start unfolding here in Catalonia. As you can see, Horrisby running wide through Kampsa. Hydrants looks to pounce on a DRS opportunity down the start-finish straight. Will he have that? Because it seems like he's just dropped out of DRS threats, and indeed he has. Right before the detection zone, he is without the drag reduction system and will certainly lose out. Horridby does have DRS on a curve rate ahead. The J-Lol running 9th has DRS on Horridby as well. But there may just be a DRS train forming. So lap 4 of 33, Griefincal has converted pole into the race lead through the first few laps. The Merc took pole position in the dying moments. He got the better of Gupta, and so far he has gotten the better of the rest. All Excel, though, is within DRS of Gupta. Still seems that the hards are lacking pace in this stage of the Grand Prix, and Gupta, like I said, is going to have to play the patient game, the waiting game, a game which may seem adroit in the long run, but for the moment is proving disadvantageous at the moment. Then, Hydrants is really losing out at the moment, and Revokes senses an opportunity of taking P2 in this race. Through the final corner, the Alfa Romeo will have DRS and will look to get ahead, and Shadows spinning. And Shadows will come into the pits to get rid of those tyres, but Revokes, with the aid of DRS, breezes past Hydrant and up into second. All Excel pressurising Gupta. This is now the battle for 4th and 5th. But it's morphing into a race of attrition. The J-Lol getting quite deep into turn 1. That compromises his line through turn 2. But with these 2022 Formula 1 cars, it is noticeable that the drivers are able to follow one another and take the fight to the drivers ahead, investing in fantastic racing. Our championship leader is running a long way behind the top three at the moment, but is keeping the Alfa Romeo behind at bay. He has him at arm's length. But the J-Lol, wow, he's so much closer on this lap to Horridby ahead. There is no chance presented for him at turn 10. But as long as he can keep close enough to the Ferrari, he may stand a chance down the start-finish straight with the aid of the slipstream and DRS. That is the best chance to overtake through the chicane now, where Charles Leclerc has spun 2 times in the past 3 years, and onto the start-finish straight on board with the Merc. He has a handsome exit. He has a plausible chance of stealing 7th place. He sees his teammate running in the lead, and now he's about to occupy P7 down the inside into turn 1, but Horridby around the outside maintains that place. He surprised J-Lol and myself, in fact, by being so late on the brakes around the outside of turn 1. 7th place is still his. But the exit through turn 4 was not a particularly healthy one. On towards turn 5, the Mercedes dares a move around the outside, puts down the power, draws level perhaps with the Ferrari. No, he backs out of it. Horridby has the Merc at arm's length for the moment. It's the race to Kampsa, turn 9. Mercedes around the outside again, thinks about the exit. Will this time have the aid of DRS. Positions to a move around the outside of turn 10. And the Mercedes, is he going to make the move? Horridby is not going to relinquish this place in a hurry. And the Mercedes still is facing the rear wing of the Ferrari and then gives Horridby a tap. So the J-Lol dropping down to 8, it will be P9 and he'll probably let Horridby through, but that is a moment of despair as Hydrant now comes into the pits to switch to the medium compound tyres. That confirms he is going for a 2-stop. But Hydrant is going to have to utilise these medium compound tyres as he triggers the undercut. He will need to register some pulsating lap times. Where is he going to come out? This is going to be fractionally close to the J-Lol. Into turn 1, he comes out behind the Mercedes. So now Winterbest gives Hydrant a tap and puts him into a spin as well. So Hydrant, who was triggering the undercut, has seen his chance missed. Gutting. That is simply gutting there for Hydrant, who was running in 3rd place. And that is a dejecting few moments for the Red Bull. Runs in P12 with it all to do now, and the race that's offered so much for the moment seems like it's going to yield so very little. Winterbest down the inside of the J-Lol. He was opportunistic with a capital O, but he pounced upon an opportunity, and that was a supreme overtake. The Alpine seizing the moment, sensing an opportunity, and selecting the right moment to pass. It's a bit trigger happy coming out of the final corner. The J-Lol is not going to back down just yet as Revokes now pits to the hard compound tyres. Winterbest has DRS on Horridby. He looks to the outside of turn 1. He brakes as late as he can. He cuts underneath the Ferrari around the outside of turn 2. It's the inside of turn 3 then for Winterbest. Is he able to make the move? Oh, it's a tap. It's another tap with Horridby that he's able to get past. Winterbest up into 7th place, as you can see there. It was Revokes who went for a spin. So he also initiated the undercut. He also went for a spin. and he is also lost out horridly. A three-way battle for P7 taking hold. But Horridby just ahead of the J-Lol. The battle into turn 10. The Mercedes thinks about a move to the inside, but will stick him behind Horridby, who runs out wide. Merc is assessing his opportunities. He's playing the long game, but he knows a pass now gives him many very much an incentive in this race down the DRS straight now. The Ferrari is without it. The J-Lol pulling out of the slipstream and edges ahead of the Horridby as they emerge towards the end of the straight. The J-Lol has displaced Horridby and now occupies 8th place. But after all those shenanigans, all those spins revoked, there's still only a second ahead of Hydrant, the Red Bull, on the medium compound tyres, who has spun out. Can sense an opportunity of at least somewhat undercutting revoked, but their tyres and their races have taken a hit. Briefing Cow leads by nearly 8.5 seconds. These medium tyres are giving him the pace he wants. Gupta runs second ahead of All XL. Leclerc is fourth. Applejuice fifth. And of course, you can see the leaderboards and the tyres that the drivers are on your screens. Leclerc now pits from McLaren. Leclerc pitting then to get rid of these soft compound tyres and put on a set of mediums. Where is he going to come out? The end of the pit lane nears and gets closer and closer and closer. It seems like he's going to rejoin behind Revoked and behind Hydrant. So Leclerc now the last of the runners, but he has 3 lap younger tyres than the driver ahead. Theo and Wiedebest separated by 3/4 of a second. The Alpine being able to use DRS heading on turn 10. The grip that Wiedebest has over the Haas ahead is very much noticeable. He senses an opportunity brewing, particularly down the start-finish straight. The exit off the final corner looks good enough. It looks adequate for the Alpine. He has his chance. Theo is defenceless without DRS, without the use of a toe. And Wiedebest still slotting in behind the Haas to turn 1. And he settles for 6th place still. So not especially cutthroat there for the Alpine, but to the inside of turn 3. And there was contact between the two. Thankfully, neither of the drivers lost out. This is as you were between those two, and Wiedebest again losing the rear, but this time finding the wall. That drops him down into P7 with Horridby hot on his heels. His teammate Shadows is also very much in the battle. Tyres will very much be in dire state, as Horridby instead having to defend from Shadows. They will both have DRS, but the Alpine launching an attack into turn 10. He breaks to the outside. He's opportunistic in all that he wishes. Is he able to get ahead of the Ferrari? He is. Shadows now wants to fend off Horridby and isn't able to do so as he goes off-road, has to counter steer and rejoins the road down in P11. He thought he had the move done, but unfortunately a half spin through the entry of turn 12 meant otherwise, and Horridby has to turn his attention to Revokes, who has already made his pit stop, and with the aid of DRS goes to the outside of turn 1 and seizes 7th place. Weatherbest in the pits as he puts on some hard tyres, looking for the long run in this race. It's on board now with Hydrant. He sees the Ferrari of Horridby ahead. He was of course running in the podium places. It's a spin through no fault of his own has put him on the back foot. It has curtailed his progress in this race as Gupta on a 1:20.9 registers the fastest lap of the race. Hydrant towards turn 10, chancing a move around the outside. Horridby was almost passed by Shadows a lap ago. He makes sure Hydrant does not have that chance and gets his elbows out. Hydrant though getting out of the tracks of Horridby, who lost the rear through the exit of turn 12, but this battle will boil over onto lap 13. With DRS, the Red Bull to the inside, but Kurtbray is joining this fight. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1 possibly. The McLaren has to back out at the very last moment, but Hydrant ahead of Horridby with the Kurtbray intent, but Shadows is now forming part of this quartet. Horridby running out wide. Kurtbray senses an opportunity into turn 4. He goes to the inside. It seems like Horridby is spat out wide and is now in the clutches of Shadows. The Alpine is going to try and make a move on the Ferrari around the outside, will put down the power and draw side by side with the Ferrari once more into turn 7. He's opening up the corners as much as possible. They get fractionally close and the Alpine has to slot in behind. No inches, no quarter given from any of the drivers. And they are obsessed with reigning supreme in each and every battle. But Horridby, after losing places to Hydrant and Kurtbray, does not want to make it a hat-trick of positions lost, and is doing well to prevent that from being the case as the J-Lol comes into the pits, so too does All XL. Shadows has another opportunity. He's going to choose the outside line, drawing side by side with Horridby. The Ferrari has to relinquish the position into turn 1. Shadows promotes himself and improves up into 9th place. Oh, and there's his Oaks on the inside of Theo. These hard compound tyres are really starting to bite into the tarmac for Revokes. The Haas conceding a place going into turn 4 was shown the door really. And that was cutthroat racing from Revokes, who's up into the top 4, having made his pit stop. Hydrant, another driver who has pitted, has actually rejoined this. Well, All XL has rejoined this race ahead of Hydrant. So both drivers having made their pit stops, it's the Red Bull who is noticeably on the back foot. We've seen how powerful the DRS has been so far in this race. Shadows wants to explain why down the start-finish straight into turn 1. The Alfa Romeo recognises the threat that Hydrant poses. The Red Bull breaks to the outside, looks to perform the switchback and cut underneath the Alfa Romeo, but is not able to do so. And as the Alfa Romeo generates temperature in his tyres, the Red Bull's chances slim and get slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. Staring down success. Instead, he is settling with disappointment and dismay. All XL on younger, albeit harder tyres, has Hydrant where he wants him. Provokes is now on a rampage on these younger tyres. He edges ever closer and he looks like he's going to pass the Ferrari going into these corners, and he does. Apple Juice slowing down, knowing that this is not his fight. And slots in behind the Alfa Romeo. Theo making a pit stop now. But Or XL, with DRS now in his armoury, means he can nullify the attack from Hydrants behind. On lap 16 of 33, we're edging ever closer to the halfway point of this Grand Prix. And this is one that Briefenkow has dominated since the very get-go. Gupta, 8.5 seconds behind. We know his teasing, trembling talent still stands a plausible chance in this race. But is his ability able to execute that? Theo rejoining this race just behind the J-Lull. And that got very close as Kurzweil runs off road and drops down into last place. Briefenkow now making his stop to the hard compound tyres. He will easily rejoin this race in second place and is running to the end of this race on these hard compound tyres. Committing to the one stop, obviously. But he delivered scintillating pace in the first phase of this Grand Prix. He will look to translate that onto these new tyres. Hydrants gets a promising exit through the final corner. Or XL in the Alfa Romeo has kept the Red Bull at bay thus far, but down the start-finish straight now, once more he goes defensive. Hydrants, he's going to choose the outside line. How late is he going to brake? Late enough to steam around the outside. Or XL is hell-bent on preserving P4. Hydrants has to slot in behind the Alfa Romeo, and it's elbows out between these two, and it is still a battle, which Or XL in the Alfa Romeo is prevailing through. We the Best and Apple Juice now side by side down the start-finish straight. There's contact between the pair. Somehow, some way they managed to keep it in a forward motion. But that was millimetres from catastrophe. Hydrants must be exasperated now behind the rear wing of Or XL. He is pursuing fourth place in this race, but he's been thwarted by a stellar few laps from the Alfa Romeo. And their battle will continue on towards lap 18 of 33 now. This has been the battle of the race so far. Hydrants still slotting in behind the Alfa Romeo. He is sick of the sight of that rear wing. But that will be a sight that dominates his vision for just a few more corners at the very least. The J-Lull having DRS now on Apple Juice, closing in down the start-finish straight. He has terrific speed down this straight, but is not close enough to make an impression. Gupta now pits then. From the race lead, Gupta, who inherited the race lead from Briefenkow's pit stop, will stop on his marks to get rid of these hard compound tyres and switch to the mediums. It's going to be a sprint. It's going to be a pursuit of a race win for Gupta. He's going to have to catch and pass Briefenkow. But the championship leader wants to extend his advantage, weaving this way, that way on the pit lane exit, and he rejoins only 6.5 seconds behind Briefenkow. The overcut has worked in the Aston Martin's favour. But of course, it takes a bit of time to get the tyres into the right temperature. But Gupta will fancy his chances. Apple Juice defending from the J-Lull through the final sector with these new 2022 Formula One cars. The drivers are able to follow one another a lot more closely. DRS open now for the J-Lull. The Ferrari will be on the back foot. He knows he will not have the top end speed to defend from the Mercedes, and the Silver Arrow blasts through into turn 1 and jumps ahead of Apple Juice. Start-finish straights once more. Hydrants still staring down the rear wing of all XL's Alfa Romeo. The best of opportunity may have just gone for Hydrants. But in the battle for P4, we still can see that position looming. Theo now overtaking Apple Juice for 9th place. The Haas showing once more how powerful DRS is as the Alpines swap places. As Shadows comes out of the pits, he rejoins ahead and behind Wiedebest. But since coming out of the pits, he hasn't really made the inroads that he would have wanted. Having said that, allowing the tyres to come into temperature, will look to close and eat into the deficit he has to our race leader. The gap is 8.5 seconds to start lap 21 of 33, but the gap between P4 and P5 is oh so close as they cross the line. Hydrants is so much closer on this lap. That's Alfa Romeo rear wing looks larger and larger and larger. Hydrant is going to dart to the outside. Is he going to make the move? Contact between the pair. But can Hydrant, at long last, make 4th place his? No, he can't. Every trick in the book is being read by Hydrant, but it is also being read by all XL, who is meticulously mastering the art of defence here in Barcelona. Now getting his tyres up to temperature, is closing in on Wiedebest. And talking about tyres up to temperature, Gupta seems to have done just that. He's closing into Briefing Cow's lead. He's now at 7.5 seconds, so the race is on between the two race leaders. Shadows taking a place on Wiedebest into turn 5, sorry. So he leaps ahead of his team. Apologies one and all. We'll have to resume the action in due course. So then let's hope we will not be uninterrupted to the checkered flag. It was Briefing Cow in the lead by 7.5 seconds at the time. We'll have to see what has happened since. So we inch towards the final third, the final few chapters of this Spanish Grand Prix. Briefing Cow led since the very start of this Grand Prix, and he still leads now. But Gupta closing in, eating into that gap at every given chance. The Hydrant seemingly has now pitted. This Hydrant hitting to the hard compound tyres and is following Shadows down the start-finish straight. He's going to launch an attack into turn 1, but he's not close enough to steal the place. Hydrant's remaining in P6. He's about 23.5 seconds behind ORXL in P4. D Revoked has had a problem or two through turn 7 and 8. And he emerges into the clutches of his teammates more and more. The final 10 laps of this race then, the two race leaders separated by 6 and a bit seconds. Briefing Cal is holding his own on these hard compound tyres, but Gupta has the younger, softer tyres, and they want to claim the race lead. It's a race to the end, which you will not want to miss, and which I almost missed through my internet connection problems. Oh, there's Shadows! Lighting up the rear tyres off the exit of turn 12. Shadows has found the wall and has lost a handful of places. He re-emerges in this race behind the J-Lo, and his teammate as well has slowed down. So the two Alpines encountering problems within seconds of each other. The J-Lo and Shadows both having DRS is going to have to defend it, but he's choosing not to down the start-finish straight. The Alpine searching the inside line into turn 1, and the J-Lo has to settle in behind. Lap 25 with 33, these two are now separated by 5.8 seconds. Gupta registers the fastest final sector of this race so far. This race is boiling to a brilliant finish. The Spanish Grand Prix is being crowned in a fantastic and epic duel for the race win. We the best chancing a move into turn 10. The J-Lo, though, has him at arm's length still. We the best is closing with every passing meter on the J-Lo, with DRS, with Slipstream, and now with 7th place in his hands. He makes a move into turn 1 and demotes the Mercedes man down into P8. But the J-Lo's teammates, Briefing Cal, is still in the lead. The gap is still coming down. It now stands at 5.5 seconds. Is Gupta making the inroads he needs to win this race? Time will tell, but with 8 laps left, that green machine will be glowing in the mirrors of Briefing Cal's Merc. It will be a tale of try and tussle to the conclusion of this Spanish Grand Prix. Two of the finest drivers in this racing division are pushing absolutely flat out, leaving no margin for error, leaving no room on the table, and are exploring limits on this track which no other driver has been able to find. A marvellous, meticulous manner of mastery from both of these drivers. Gupta's tyres, of course, 2 laps younger, and of course a compound softer as well. So it's down to speed and it's down to racecraft to determine whether Gupta takes the race victory. The quake of tension erupts beneath the tarmac of the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, with the sun sizzling and scorching, searching upon a light for which these drivers are thirsting to find. Rifin Cow and Gupta separated by 5.5 seconds, but pushing to the very end, knowing that the consequences of their pursuit of race win could be glorious and could be gutting as well. They start lap 27 of 33, and as the clock ticks down, as the laps pass by, this looks progressively better for Rifin Cow, who is not too far away from lapping his teammate, such as the speed that he has been running at. Two Alfa Romeos, formerly separated by a noticeable amount, are now within DRS of one another. All-XL has closed the deficit down to a mere 0.8 of a second. With a penalty to serve, it must be said, he's running at a pace which Revokes is finding tricky to match. Budapest still ahead of the J-Lol, the Mercedes still using DRS. But the frustrating sight of that Alpine rear wing is emerging into his vision millisecond after millisecond. Start their 28th lap of 33 of the Spanish Grand Prix. The J-Lol struggling through the exit of turn 15 as he takes a load of curb. But back to the battle between the two Alfa Romeos, and it's hotting up, it's spicing up. They are dueling for the final podium place. All-XL has a time penalty of 6 seconds, so he needs to get this move done as soon as possible if he does want to claim a podium finish. Out in front, Rifin Cow is actually extending his margin over Gupta now. He leads by about 6.5 seconds as Gupta's tyres now encountered the best of the pace it will deliver. It seems probable that Rifin Cow is cruising towards race victory. At the same time, he still has a lot of work to be done. Here is your race leader, having just lapped, it seems, apple juice. Gupta is just dropping further and further behind. Could he be making a pit stop to claim the fastest lap of the race? It's currently held by Rifin Cow, so Gupta seems probable that he will be pitting for the fastest lap. It will be close in terms of where he fares if he was to pit and come out of the pits, where he would fare in relation to Revokes. But All-XL still has his eyes set and his ambitions, and did on third place. As it's Shadows who goes for a spin through the exit of turn 8. He's been overtaken by Budapest. He drops down into P7 with the J-Lol now hunting him down. Two Alpines are back in formation. Budapest ahead of Shadows, but with the J-Lol lurking in the distance. It's a battle, it's a sprint to the end with just 4 tours of this Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya track to negotiate. Shadows around the outside of his teammate into turn 1. Seems like it was synchronised swimming there as Shadows. Oh, he's got ahead of his teammate, but has instantly lost it through turn 3. And that's another spin to add to the tally of errors we have seen in this Grand Prix. Wederbest has been handed the reins of 6th place once more, with the J-Lo really pressurising him now. He has the speed, he has the grip, but he is without the position. Wederbest is running wide, where the J-Lo is able to keep it out on track through Camsonau. The Mercedes has a mesmeric exit. He's launching an attack onto the Alpine. He dares to the outside of turn 10, but then gives Wederbest a tap. He may have escaped front wing damage, but he's lost the chance into turn 10 to make a move. Shadow trying to close back up to Theo in the battle for P8, and ORXL is within half a second of his teammate. To the 31st lap of 33, this race has blasted by and it is nearing its conclusion. Wederbest still running ahead of the J-Lo, Revoked still running ahead of his teammate, and we're on board with ORXL into turn 10. He does have a 6-second time penalty, so it seems probable that his chances of P3 are favourable. But his racing endeavours will not be diminished. His pursuit of a podium place will not be quelled. Round the final corner to start the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix for these two. It's still Revoked that holds the upper hand in the battle for 3rd place. Shadows now closing in on Theo. Look how late the Alpine brakes going into turn 10. He reduces the deficit, but on exit, he doesn't have a good enough one to really trouble the Haas. Briefing-Cal now leads by about 11 seconds. He has really mastered this race from the very start as Revoked concedes 3rd place to ORXL. So these two are not bothered about battling one another, but Shadows will definitely be interested in battling Theo. It's a battle to the end of the main straight. The Haas holds the upper hand going into turn 1. The Alpine on exit edges ever closer to 8th place. Will put down the power, but is still without the position that he desires. Briefing-Cal has started his final lap as Shadows down the inside of Theo, and still runs in the tracks of the Haas. ORXL now earns himself yet another time penalty, amounting to 9 seconds. As these two battle it out, Briefing-Cal nears a sensational race victory. Shadows into turn 10, he's searching for the inside line, but is not able to find it and still remains without 8th place. But out in front, Briefing-Cal has been on blistering form. He registered speed that no one, simply no one, could parallel. He has blasted through every single corner of this track. He has been a blur in all that he has delivered, and he sees the checkered flag after absolutely dominating here at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. Briefing-Cal wins out on this Spanish Grand Prix Saturday, and he will lead home Gupta, the championship leader, who will take yet another podium place. And he crosses the line to greet his team and claim another podium. The closest battle on track on this final lap is still that between Theo and Shadows. The Haas is holding firm of P8. He does have a time penalty, but on road I'm sure he will like to take the honours of finishing ahead of the Alpine. ORXL and Revoked have crossed the line to finish 3rd and 4th. 4XL pace was not enough to display for votes in the end. But it's a P3 and a P4 finish for Alfa Romeo, which they will be very pleased about. Haydn will come home for 5th place, a race fraught with disappointment, as We The Best will cross the line for P6 on the road with the J. Lull right behind him. But Shadows launching an attack into the final few corners just does not have enough time to make that move. And it will be Theo P8 on the road, but will drop down into P9. But it is Briefing Cow who is your winner around the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. So there you have it, Briefing Cow winning out in FP Formula Premiere. He was very much the premiere of pace, and sprays the champagne as the Silver Arrow really did have the golden touch at the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, a track in which Mercedes have won so often at, and they win once more. So it's Briefing Cow who wins out. His first win of the season. Could this kickstart a campaign of majesty and memory? He wins by 18 seconds in the end from Gupta, revokes third, or XL fourth, and then Hydrant, the JLL, We The Best, Shadows, Theo and Akerdre, all scoring points. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for FP. Another race and another stunning drive, this time from Briefing Cow, who takes the honours and shows that his scintillating speed is something to be reckoned with. Make sure you return from when FP returns as well. You will not want to miss a moment. But until next time, goodbye.